From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fairbanks Evening News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Daryl Clark. Stephanie Woodard is on location. Our top story this evening: Alaska State Troopers are investigating a homicide that occurred at a residence early Sunday morning. Troopers responded to a shooting at a residence on Tungsten Trail near Chena Hot Springs Road, where they discovered 29-year-old Tommy Patton of Fairbanks was killed as a result of a gunshot. Troopers identified a suspect. However, the name and gender have not been released due to speculation the shooting was in self-defense. No arrests have been made. The handgun used in the shooting was recovered at the scene, and troopers are still investigating.
We have interviewed the suspect, and right now investigators are looking into claims that this was self-defense. There was no party at the residence at the time. There were a couple of people at the residence. We've talked to some other individuals, and we're just trying to sort through it and put everything together.
A 28-year-old North Pole man is in jail after an armed standoff at a North Pole residence during the weekend. Ryan James Sparks of North Pole is charged with assault, misconduct involving weapons, and a parole violation. A report was received on Saturday of screams and gunshots fired from a residence on Keeney Road. Upon arrival, troopers confirmed that multiple gunshots were being fired. Additional troopers, Fairbanks police officers, North Pole police officers, and the Northern Special Emergency Reaction Team responded to the scene. Troopers and an official with adult probation were able to contact Sparks via telephone and convinced him to surrender from the residence. He was immediately arrested and taken into custody. Well, U.S. Army Alaska has completed its investigation into the Stewart Creek 2 fire in the Yukon training area earlier this summer. Investigators concluded artillery training was the initial cause of the fire on June 19th. The Alaska Fire Service suppressed the blaze that day, and by evening they reported it contained with no visible smoke. Investigators concluded that the fire likely smoldered in the decaying leaves and branches in the training area until it flared up again June 25th. The investigation found that during the extreme fire warning on June 19th, USARAC's training and range safety regulations were not strictly followed. Now, as a result, a number of changes have been recommended.
The biggest recommendation is that the approval authority for that waiver will be the deputy commander up at Fort Wainwright. I believe that's a good move for a couple of reasons. One, he's up there closer to the training area and is more in tune with the environmental conditions. Second, he's essentially right across the street from Alaska Fire Service and the Fort Wainwright Fire Department, and I believe that'll allow for better coordination and collaboration between those agencies.
Denali Elementary is hosting some guests from out of the country this week. 3 principals who were chosen from Brazil have come to Fairbanks to shadow local principal Tim Doran. They will spend the week learning about Fairbanks and how teachers and administrators work here in the United States and be able to compare that to their country of Brazil. Denali Elementary Principal Tim Doran will then venture to Brazil for 2 weeks in the summer to shadow them in the exchange. The purpose behind the program is to build a partnership in education.
I had applied for the program, so we're honored to have been selected, our school, to participate in this.
One of our worries was about the cold weather. Even the weather is helping out with our visit. I like to say that I liked the students a lot, the culture of Fairbanks, the way that Tim administers the school.
Well, only 10 days left in October. Still no snow on the ground, but the weather has changed a little bit for the cooler part. Mike Schultz is joining us now with our first look at weather. Mike.
Hey, Daryl, the skies have cleared, the temperature is falling, and we're starting our first night of broadcasting all this week from the Carlson Center celebrating the AFN convention. Stephanie Woodard will be here just a little bit with another interesting interview regarding the children and the elders that were gathered today. Also, we have an air quality we're going to pass along to you in the North Pole area. It's already that time. Can you believe it? The skies, like I said, have cleared, so that's allowing all the moisture and all the pollutants to be trapped at the lower levels. We'll talk more weather Well, later on we'll talk coming up in just a little bit, like I said, with Stephanie. Right now, back to you.
All right, thank you, Mike. Now, when we come back, Native youth learn about the power of the vote. Also, Stephanie Woodard is live at the Elders and Youth Conference at the Carlson Center with Mike. Those stories are next. Stay with us. Welcome back. As part of the activities going on with the Alaska Federation of Natives Convention at the Carlson Center, today elders and youth met all day in a special conference. The First Alaskans Institute is an organization developed to help preserve the Native culture and empower Native youth. Today, the Institute had a full agenda specifically dedicated to educating and encouraging the young people on how important it is to vote.
I have to say the main focus today was really imploring the youth to understand how important it is to vote. So we actually had an actual vote where the youth and the elders had 4 questions on a ballot that were posed to them, and this vote is going to be tallied and presented to AFN and to the legislature, just as a voice, a statewide voice for Native youth.
In addition to the pageantry and exchange of cultural traditions, the influx of people into the community normally could cause concern. However, thanks to a united effort between the Fairbanks Police Department, the Alaska State Troopers, the Tanana Chiefs Conference, and Village Public Safety Officers, or VPSOs, from across the state, this year's Alaska Federation of Native Convention will be monitored for any unlawful activity. Now, today at the Fairbanks Police Department, plans were developed within the agencies to cooperate to ensure the convention and businesses within the community would operate in a safe environment.
Anytime we have a huge gathering of people, it's really a great opportunity for our officers and FPD or APD when they have AFN in Anchorage to work together and unify for public safety. So for people, especially people coming in from the villages.
It's because we'll be doing traffic stops and DUIs, a lot of things that we don't do in the village. Like when we get calls in the village, it's not bam, 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 you know, going call after call like Fairbanks PD. So I believe that this would be a great training experience for the VPSOs.
During the conference, speakers highlighted modern skills that youth should master, such as managing paperwork and voting power. Now, in an effort to demystify the voting process, there was a chance to cast a ballot on important Native issues. Other organizations also were present to talk about voting. Hunt, Fish, Share is advertising for its concert called Rock the Native Vote. The free concert is Wednesday night at 8 and features several bands. Organizers say the theme is voting to improve hunting and fishing rights.
We want to advocate for our rights to traditionally hunt and fish, not special rights, just equal rights, and to live the lifestyle we've been living for generations.
Participate in voting because their vote counts. You know, it really makes a difference. If we don't voice ourselves, then we're not going to be heard, you know, and we have people's power, and we need to unite and come together and protect our way of life for the future generations.
All right, speaking of AFN, we're joined live now by News Center 11's Stephanie Woodard out at the Carlson Center for all of the week's festivities. Stephanie.
Thank you, Daryl. Yes, we are out here getting ready for the AFN convention, but today I'm here with Liz because we kicked off a really special event. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we're here for First Alaskans Institute's Elders and Youth Conference, which precedes the annual AFN convention. And so we're meeting here at the Carlson Center Monday through Wednesday. And we have elders and youth from across the state, and we get to be in Fairbanks, which we love.
Tell me a little bit about how important this conference is to both the elders and the youth in the Native communities.
This is an opportunity for our young people to connect with our elders and vice versa so that we can continue to have really important connections and pass on cultural knowledge, inspire action and innovation in our cultures and our communities, and make sure that we are strengthening our identity as Native people together.
Tell me, you know, togetherness seems like that is the theme of the AFN and this, so tell me how important that is, togetherness.
So our theme is we are our ancestors, and that goes back to who our people have been, who we are today and where we are going in the future. And it is about a collective. It is about who we are. It's not about an individual. It's about all of us together.
Thank you so much, Liz. It was a pleasure to meet you. I'm looking forward to seeing all the events. And we're going to kick it back to Daryl and Joe for sports.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. Joe, man, you know, I watched all the sports all this weekend, or at least listened on the radio. Heartbreak for the interior prep schools for football, but fantastic news for the Nanooks.
Yeah, you know, next up in sports, just a lot of big games. You know, as you mentioned, the Nanooks, they winning the Bryce Alaska Gold Rush. You'll see how they did it. And in two interior football teams had great seasons, but came up a little bit short. But we'll have full highlights and reactions from the championship games down in Anchorage. So that's coming up next in sports.